Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Solar Sales Uncensored. I am your host, Aaron Browning, and I am so excited for today's guest. It is my good friend, Mr. Kevin Mohler. I had the privilege of meeting this young man, and it's rare I can say young man because most people my age are older, but he definitely is a young man compared to me several years ago. We were in the same business together. He is an amazing leader. He is an expert recruiter. He is an expert marketer. He is also a family man. This gentleman gives back with a huge heart from charities and pro bono work. And he's also one of the founders of our team app. He really was the brains behind it and helped develop the team app that is really sweeping the solar industry by storm. He is one of the big reasons for that success. So without further ado, Kevin Mohler, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm blessed, Aaron. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here with you, man.
Glad to be here too.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. You and I talk all the time. I would dare to say almost daily, whether we're trading books, we're trading podcasts, we're talking leadership, we're talking everything we're going to talk about today. So truly, there really is no agenda. I just want to flow with it. For anyone in my audience who hasn't met you yet, I know you've been on a ton of our team calls, doing all your marketing stuff. And by the way, there's no one better at that. Would you mind giving your brief background and how we met?
Yeah, sure. So before we met, my background was construction work. I live here in South Alabama, was born and raised in Texas, but moved here when I was 6 years old. So this is home. And grew up from a family of humble means. My dad has a 10th grade education. He worked in the environmental field. My mom did end up going to college while I was growing up and became a nurse and worked at a hospital. And so for me, I watched them work hard, and I definitely had a great childhood growing up. But there were things that I wanted to accomplish as I was growing up. At a very young age, 13, I started working construction. We literally started to build homes on nights, weekends, and summers at 13 years old. Wow. Which is crazy. But from 13 to 20, I worked for the same contractor and busted my tail working for him, really learned what it was like. I remember my first paycheck, Aaron, went to tools.
Wait, hold on. Your first paycheck invested back into your business?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I learned that. I was a little bit shocked because I was 13 and I was excited about my first paycheck because I had plenty of things I was going to buy at 13 years old. And my boss did such a great job. He literally he didn't even tell me where we were going. He drove me to Home Depot, and we're going around the store, and he's grabbing all the stuff in the basket. I thought he was buying me tools. And turns out I was buying me tools. He never paid me for that week. So he explained to me that tools didn't come with the paycheck, that you had to buy your own. And it's probably one of my great lessons early on. But anyway, I digress. I worked for him for a while, did heavy equipment operation, concrete pumping, commercial buildings, the tallest tower in Mobile, Alabama. I poured all the concrete in their parking garage. So I got to learn really quickly what it's like to do hard manual work. And I was miserable. I was freaking miserable. And I decided that I'm going to become an architect. I'm going to design things and then have a construction company that builds unique homes. And that was my mission. And I was serious about it. So in my 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in high school, I took drafting and design courses in trade school. By the time I graduated high school, I had 5 drafting and design courses under my belt. Wow. I was going to go to get all my basics done for an architecture degree and rolled right into college. So I was building houses 40 to 50 hours a week during the daytime, working for him. And then I was going to college more than full-time hours, 5 nights a week, literally 4 to 5 hours per night in classes, taking night classes. And it was very difficult. I did that for 2.5 years. And then I found the network marketing profession. I was broke. I was tired. I didn't have any time for an extra job. I definitely didn't want an extra boss, and found this network marketing business and thought I could supplement my income. And I did supplement my income. But then all of a sudden I found personal and professional development, all the stuff I thought I never needed. I didn't think I needed any books. I hated books. I'd never read a book outside of having to with college or high school. And I definitely didn't think I really needed a mentor. I was very motivated, self-motivated, and I thought that's really all you need is some grit. That's all I knew was hard work. So when I found this profession and it started to work on me, I got addicted to personal development. I've been on a warpath now for 17 years of personal and professional development. And what that ended up doing for me was teaching me after my first 7 months in network marketing that, hey, you could do this full time. And I changed my degree from architecture to business. I went one more semester. I discontinued my studies, which is a really nice way of saying I dropped out. Quit school. One of the best days of my life was when I walked out of there and was able to focus on my own business. Since then, I haven't had a job. It's been almost 17 years. I'm unemployable. You can't pay me to work for somebody. If it's not creative work, things I'm passionate about, the ability to serve people, the huge upside, I'm a big fan of personal professional development, but also self-liberty and freedom and sovereignty. And I want control of my schedule. I don't want anybody to control me. And I want to use my God-given talents to serve the world. So that's what lights me on fire. And it's been a blast. It's been a lot of roller coaster ups and downs, but that was my story then. And so how you and I met was in that business.
100%. In fact, you probably don't know this, man. So we used to have team calls for that other business, and I'll do my best not to say names, but I'll probably mess it up. It's all good. And I think we had a team call every Sunday night. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I had come on board on a Thursday, and our first team call was that Sunday, and you were the keynote. And this is a large team. We're talking several 100,000 people. It was packed. I was a baby. My first network marketing experience 5 years ago, whatever it was. I knew nothing. I didn't have high expectations, honestly. I just hadn't heard great things about it. I didn't know anything about the company. I just joined because of the mentor. Like, it was one of those. I made a blank decision, said I'll figure it out later. I hop on this call. They introduce Kevin, and he goes through a similar story. It was a little bit shorter, and I was instantly drawn in. And then he delivered this keynote for like 25 minutes. I had goosebumps. I'm texting my business partner, Chris Hart, who's with us here with the Solar Journey. Same thing. We were like, oh my gosh, is this God's way of telling us like we locked arms with the right people? You killed it, man. Since that day, I said, I want to be around you. I immediately added you to our circle, whether or not you knew it or not. You're amazing, dude.
Hey, likewise, man. I just got to give you a shout out also that I got started with that company a considerably long time before that you came on the scene. But very quickly, man, you have an ability to pour into people at a natural capacity. Of course, I know you've worked hard on yourself. You're an avid reader. You love personal professional development and going to conferences and learning and growing. Same things that I love. But you have this ability to build a culture and a dynamic in an organization that can crush any barrier and literally kick butt and take names. And I learned a lot from you and continue to. That's the reason why we're so close is, you know, I lean on you for information and stuff on a regular basis. So I appreciate you as well.
Oh, man, I love that. Love that. Something else before we take it further. You touched on personal development, and I love that you brought it up. What was the fancy word you used for dropping out of school?
Yeah, discontinued my studies.
I see. I got to use that. Similar background. And I'll go ahead and say it. I haven't said it here, this big of an audience, but it is what it is. I failed out of 5 colleges. I almost said 4, but I would have been lying. It's 5. Something I'm not proud of, but it just wasn't for me. It was much like you. I realized, and I'm going to take grief for this, but I'm being honest. This is uncensored. I was taking classes in business from people who have never owned a business. I was taking classes from people who were making salaries that I don't want to make a month. And I'm being honest with you. I'm being transparent. And so I struggled to learn. I wasn't excited. They didn't grab my attention. Maybe I wasn't ready. I'm not putting it all on them, but it was broken. It wasn't right for me. And so I do feel blessed. Network marketing, I know it gets a lot of grief from people that couldn't hack it, from people who quit on themselves, maybe joined the wrong business, the wrong leadership. I get it. There's a lot of factors go into it. One thing you cannot knock is the personal development around network marketing. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Was there something in particular? Because I know similar background. We weren't avid readers by any stretch. What clicked for you? Was it something someone said? Was it a book? Was it a class? What was it?
16, 17 years ago when I got started, they told me, Kevin, there's 10 things you need to commit to be successful. And I committed to 9. So I realized that when I wasn't having the success that I wanted, there was just something in me. Maybe it was ego, maybe it was arrogance. I don't know what it was, probably a combination of a lot of different things. But it was like, hey, if this doesn't work, it's not going to be because of me. Okay. Yep. It's going to be because of the company, because of them, because of the leadership, the timing, the economy. It's going to be something else, but it's not going to be because of Kevin. So I decided to commit to that 10th thing. And that 10th thing was personal and professional development. And what they encouraged me to do was read 10 pages a day. Now, remember, I'd never picked up a book outside of high school and college. Never picked up a book unless I absolutely had to. Hated to read, was not good at reading, did not want to read, had no reason to read other than that I'm not going to fail. And there's this one thing I didn't do. I got to at least do that. So if I fail, I know it wasn't me. Right. So I finally commit to number 10 of the 10 things that I was supposed to commit to. And I never forget, my mom was actually having brain surgery in New York. And I flew up there to be with her before, during, and after surgery. And of course, she's in and out of recovery 24/7, right? Conscious goes back to sleep. Conscious goes back to sleep. Lights are dim. I'm exhausted. But what do? You're stuck at a hospital. And this was before like phones were really blowing up. So you couldn't just play on your iPhone just 16 years ago. So I went to the bookstore. I literally got a taxi. This was also before Uber.
Oh, he's going way back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Got a taxi, went to the bookstore, and I was looking for a book and they didn't have it. And I was like, that's my excuse. Anyway, I ended up ordering it online and having it mailed to the hotel. And the book was The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. So if anybody here has heard of that book, great. If you haven't, it's Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's basically an updated, revised version of that. Darren Hardy's the former publisher of Success Magazine.
Yep.
Both of those books cover the same philosophy, and it really teaches you the formula for success is daily disciplines practiced every single day with the right attitudes over time is what leads us to success. And the same thing in reverse is what leads us to failure. It's not one catastrophic thing that we do. It's daily errors and judgment compounded over time that leads us to failure. So it's not the cheeseburger that kills somebody. It's the cheeseburger every day for 30 years that kills somebody. And success is just like that, but in the opposite. It's in our daily decisions and our daily habits. And when I read that book and I saw all the examples, like all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can do this. I can make incremental daily deposits of the right attitudes and the right behaviors compounded over time to make the dude like me actually be able to be successful like these people on stage. And that's what blew my mind. And literally, Aaron, and I went from not reading to begrudgingly getting this book. I was going to force myself to read 10 pages a day. I read the book in 2 days.
Wow.
Of course, I was stuck at a hospital, so it was a little easier to do than maybe just normal everyday life. But that hooked me so much that I literally got in a taxi again, went to the Books A Million, and bought Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I read it in 2 days. So in 4 days, I read 2 books. And those things taught me so much that business classes never did, taught me so much that architecture classes never did, taught me so much that high school and the rest of my college basics never did, taught me things my parents didn't even know. And all of a sudden, I was a changed human being. I saw the world through a different set of eyes. And that's what hooked me. Like I've been hooked since then on what I don't know is what I'm passionate about. I think that things that are conventional and normal lead to average, and average sucks. The average marriage is horrible. The average health is horrible. The average spiritual connection is horrible. The average everything is, and I don't want average anything. I don't want the average physique, average health, average mindset, average education, average bank account, average business, average marriage, average relationship with my son. Like I want everything to be elevated to above average, and I want to be hooked on life, you know, to wake up on fire every day. And personal development, professional development is a huge part of that for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you see why he's in my circle. It's little rants like that just get you goosebumps. And by the way, he had no idea I was going to ask that question. Believe it or not, I think it's cool because he can trace it back. And I can trace mine back as similar. And I'll share this one quickly because I haven't shared it with anyone else. I was a second or third year agent. So this is back in like 2012. We had cell phones. I don't think Uber was there yet. I'm just making fun of Kevin. I'll never forget. I had read a book. It was required for me to join Keller Williams. They call it the Red Book. It's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It wasn't 2 days. I think it took me 2 weeks at the pool over summer or something. I ended up reading this book. He talks about building a team, owning a business, right? Going from a solopreneur to an entrepreneur and a business owner. And so instantly I tried to build a team. And I'll never forget, I was interviewing this agent in my office, year 2, year 3. And at this point, usually if an agent had a pulse, they joined. Like it was one of those, they saw the commissions. They didn't take a whole bunch. And I'm interviewing this lady. I'm following all the templates from this book. And I'm going through, I think I'm on the 3rd interview with her. No one else in my office is doing it this way. I'm following by the book. It wasn't going to be because of me. It didn't work. And I get to the job offer and she says no. I'm like crushed. I walk out of this boardroom and there's 80 other agents in there, right? This is way before COVID where working from home was cool. And everyone walks out. Did she accept? And I said, no. And they were all, oh, it wasn't meant to be. She wasn't the right fit. They were saying all the friendly stuff. And I refused to be a victim. It was because of me. And it hurt so bad that day. I realized as a leader, I did not build a world big enough for this female, this young lady, this aspiring business owner to play in it. She would have been a game changer for my company. And I went home that night and I said, that will never happen again. If I want to be in business with somebody, if they don't come on board, it's because I didn't want them. Never again. I went on an all-out John Maxwell reading spree, whatever you want to call it. I was consuming everything. Half of it I didn't even understand in the beginning. I had to reread and keep going. It was way over my head. But I refused to let that thing happen again. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading the Bible through cover to cover. That's the most important thing I'm reading. I just finished 2 days ago a book called The Prayer of Jabez, which is unbelievable. I'm reading a book, I forget the name of it, but it's by a Chinese philosopher, which is very interesting to see his philosophy from his country literally talk about how they view America, which is really interesting and insightful because we're a product a lot of our environment, right?
Correct.
It's our education, our experience, and our environment. That's what forms our beliefs, forms how we do our actions. And of course, the actions that we do give us the results that we're getting or not getting. And so our environment. I was born here in the United States, live here in the United States my whole life. I've visited a few other countries, but all I know is the American culture, and I've only glimpsed at others. So it's unique to hear a philosopher who was obviously ingrained in Chinese philosophy and culture to look and see how he views America, which is really interesting. And I'm also reading the autobiography of Winston Churchill.
Love it. And by the way, once again, we haven't talked about this either. He mentioned several books. A little tip that was given to me, I don't even know how long ago. I treat my books almost like TV channels. I'm not in the mood every single night, typically, to read the same book over and over. So much like you, I usually have 3 or 4 on my desk, on my Audible, in my car, in my office, whatever. So I'm jumping around from each one depending on the mood or what I'm trying to accomplish or learn that in that season. So that's cool to hear someone else doing it. Let's go ahead and jump gears, man. I want to talk about Nrgize. This is our brainchild. There's no one better to have on this podcast that knows the ins and outs of it. Let's talk about the formation of this app. This app was really launched with another company that you and I were a part of. Do you want to talk about how this came about, what your thoughts of the app were back then compared to now?
Yeah, so there was a multi-millionaire in the space who recognized way ahead of his time that his team was fragmented because of technology. And in life and in business, our strengths are also our biggest weakness. So the example I'll give you is if you're an aggressive personality type, that's great. You can conquer, you can take ground, you've got an aggression that drives you forward. The problem is, in some circumstances, you can also talk yourself right out of closing a deal because you're too aggressive, right? If you're humble, that's one of your biggest strengths, that you have humility about you. You're not arrogant. You're a serving person. People can take advantage of you because you're a humble person, right? So your strengths are also your weakness. And you realize that technology was one of the biggest strengths that could ever provide this profession with the pouring gas on a fire, because you could connect with people. You had social media and you had applications and you had CRMs, and you had surveys, you had all these great pieces of tech. But the problem is that everybody was fragmented. You almost had to go to school to learn each piece of them. You had to pay money for each piece of them. Most of them didn't communicate with each other. And even if they did, you had to do a process that most people would be familiar called integration, using things like APIs and things like that. So those that are familiar with what I'm talking about know exactly what I'm talking about. But somebody who's never built something like that, an example would be if you had somebody fill out a survey and you got the responses, that wouldn't automatically go over here to this other piece of software that you have that reminds you to follow up with that person. So you'd have to build that thing and then try to get them to talk to each other. And so people were all over the place. And also because of the internet, there's a huge market for agencies to try to sell products and services to network marketers and say, oh, you never have to recruit, you never have to talk to anybody. Just buy our thing, buy our program, buy our software, and we'll do it all for you. And so what that leads to is fragmentation. Like if you want duplication, you need a repeatable, duplicatable system that you can repeat over and over again, and understand that every time you add complexity to that formula or that process, you eliminate a percentage of the population that can succeed doing what you're doing. And anybody can complicate something. Anybody can make something complex or complicated. It takes a genius to simplify. It's much harder to simplify. So what he did is he took the hard road. He didn't just say, let me find a solution. There was no solution that was designed for relationship marketing, a person to person, sharing a story, telling the story, getting someone's attention. You know, the reason why, like in solar, as a prime example, if you could sell solar in 2 sentences, 3 sentences, then it would just be a radio commercial. They wouldn't pay solar reps so much money. The reason why they pay them so much money is because someone needs to get someone's attention, say, listen, let me get you your power bill. Let me get your utility bill. Yep. Let me see what we can do for you. Let me educate you. Do you know about this tax credit stuff? All that kind of stuff. Get the conversation and move them forward to close the deal, to get solar in their home, and everybody's paid and happy. So that's the reason why he created the technology was, hey, let's take the person that shares the story, who's representing a company, but they're in business for themselves, the network marketing professional. Let's build technology that can do everything they need it to do. And let's not allow it to do anything that they don't need it to do. Let's make it complex on its capabilities on the back end, but simple to use on the front end, and see if we can get this to duplicate. And he did. And it worked. It was his own solution for his own team, and it worked extremely well. And of course, he was the one who called me up and introduced it to me. And that's how I got started using the tech.
I love it, man. So I'll cut the other spin to this. I was one of the early agents of a real estate brokerage called EXP. It's now the largest, I'm going to say one of the largest real estate brokerages in the world. Huge. When we first came out of the scene, I think I was agent 3000. We didn't have an app like this. It didn't exist. And I remember one of the frustrations as a team builder, I remember calling the upline, whatever you called them then. And I said, Kevin, what video do I send this person? Hey, Kevin, this person asked that. This person wants a flat sheet. This person wants this. Go to YouTube. Go check your email. I think I sent it. I think it was a text. I think it was in a group me. I'm all over the place. So as a builder, it was slowing me down. I couldn't figure it out. And what I loved when I first met this app with you, it's what I call a business in a box. It's split-second marketing. Every single tool was there. It was labeled. You can fall in love with your own, and I love that, right? We all have our own favorites, but it was all in one place. I didn't have to go check GroupMe, go check a text thread, go on Facebook, go to YouTube. That part was game-changing for me, man. It was just an area to house it. Talking about the app, so the gentleman, we're talking about Patrick Shaw. We had him as a guest on the show. How big was his team when he launched this, when he beta tested with his team at that other company?
I don't even know. It was huge.
Massive, though.
Big team. He's been decades of experience in the field as a builder. And he's the kind of guy that just never, he had times where he took his foot off the gas some, but he never took his foot completely off. Like, he's just been a builder for a long time. So he had a massive team. I don't know the size of it, but huge.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the hundreds of thousands, like massive. And the reason I bring that up, not to bring up Patrick, he's not here. He doesn't need it. He's going to kill me for saying that. It's to show, like, when he built this thing, that's the population. That's the sample size that this was tested on. And so I immediately fell in love with it. Kevin and I would mastermind Arne. That's how I became friends with Patrick. When we partnered up with our solar company, we didn't have anything. It reminded me of EXP. And I said, I'm not doing that again. No, I reached out to Kevin. I reached out to Patrick. And I said, what can we do to design something that can plug and play in the solar world? And that's really what brought the three of us back together on this project. What are some of the key highlights that this app brings to you in terms of recruiting? I know you mentioned duplication.
God. I mean, the application makes duplication of building our business so simple that I've literally used the application to recruit other people. Now, I don't mean I used it to send people a video and that kind of stuff. I literally showed somebody, hey, man, check this out. You see this company introduction video? Yeah. Watch this. When I send this to this person, I can see if they got it. I can see when they click on it. I can even see what percentage they watched. The phone lets me know. I can also set up a reminder to let me know when to follow up with that person. So whenever I stop, I have the ability, like when my brain stops, I have the ability to remember because the application remind me to follow up with them. So that's one of the things that helped me the most was being able to literally migrated my entire business to-do list, Aaron, from other applications on my computer and mobile device into the application because it has a built-in to-do list feature that you can even tie to a prospect. So if it says follow up with John Doe, when you click on that, it takes you to John Doe's contact record. And when it takes you to their contact record, you click a button and call them. When I hang up, it pops open and says, would you like to take notes about today's call? So I'm like, yeah, he's moving houses, closing on a house 15th of next month, follow up with them after the 21st. And then I can set another to-do to remind me on the 21st to call John to see how the move went and to revisit that conversation. So it's like having an assistant. It's like having a second brain and keeping it all. That's the reason why I call it the remote control to your business. Is that anywhere on the planet, if I have my phone with me, I can build my business because of that application. And that's what makes it so duplicatable is because unlike other providers that are out there, and I've had them all, by the way, because I own traditional companies as well. I've tried them all. Infusionsoft, Keep, ClickFunnels, SurveyMonkey, ActiveCampaign. You can't name one. Go High Level. I've used them all, every single one of them. I spent thousands of dollars learning all these different softwares, and you can't duplicate that. Even if you get it to work, how are you going to help the new person do that? Are you going to tell them they got to pay $200, $500, $1,000 a month? Then you got to build all these other send them all these campaigns, upload it into their account. You cannot duplicate in our profession like that. But what you can do with this app, just like the Nrgize app, someone can be brand new, create their account, they're in business.
Correct.
It's that simple. Everything they need is there, right? So it's a huge game changer. And Aaron, I use it to get people's contact info like a ninja. So if I met somebody, instead of me saying, hey, can I get your number? That's salesy. I could say, hey, I'd love to stay in touch. You mind if I send you my digital business card? And people are like, sure. I'm like, cool. What number you want me to send it to? Boom, got their number. Simple as that.
That's sexy. Ninja tactics.
Ninja tactics.
You said the word duplication quite a few times, and I really want to make sure the audience, this doesn't get lost on anyone. This is huge. I guarantee there are some alphas, there are some drivers, whatever you want to label it, listening right now, who are very good at what they do personally. Yet without duplication, it always is going to rise and fall on you. There's no team building. There is no leverage. There is no passive income. That is what I had to learn the hard way too. If Kevin gives me the roadmap, I can go out and do it. I'm going to end up varying off, adding my gifts, adding my skill sets from personal development like we talked about. But to someone brand new, just starting out in solar, they're not going to be able to duplicate what I just did. And so, although it might work for me, it doesn't work for anyone else. And that's not why I joined here. I joined here to build a massive freaking team with massive leverage, massive amounts of passive income so I can live an impactful life. And that truly is what this app is doing. And the other example I'll give, Kevin, as you're one of the top recruiters in our company, I love it. It's not nothing I do special. I just use the app every single day. I could take Kevin, who's brand new in the business, and say, here is the text I send out. When they write back, sure, or yes, here is the video I send out. Here is my follow-up text. Here is the exact language I use once I get on the phone to answer their question and sign them up. Like, it is a duplicatable process. There is no gift there. There is no special Superman ability there. It is dumbed down to the ultimate level, if you will. And that's really what I love about it. The other thing you touched on is tracking. Call it Big Brother, call it whatever. I'll share this example. I know you can run with it. I have my favorite video in our app, in our team app. It's fire. It just recruits a lot of people. It's about 21 minutes long. I can track down to the second, and I know Kevin knows all this, but for our listeners, of how much someone watched the video. And so I'm going to share an example. I don't get to the money in that video until minute 11. So if someone watched 8 minutes, I'll use Kevin because I'm staring right at him. He watched 8 minutes. He's not jacked up because he didn't even see the money. So when I hit him up, I'm like, Kevin, I'll even tell him, Kevin, I hate to be a big brother, man. You only watched 8 minutes and 37 seconds of that video I sent you. And he's like, oh, really? I say, yes. Do me a favor. Pull the car over, throw food at the kids, do whatever you got to do. I need 13 more minutes of your time. You didn't even get to the money. And he's like, oh, there's money? I'm like, yes, there's money. Stop what you're doing. Because of the app, I'm able to talk like that. I know exactly where they got lost. As a leader, I can also tell them my content's not working. If I lose somebody at minute 8 every single day, my content sucks. So I love the app for that reason. Any other tracking tidbits you want to talk about?
Yeah. So look, as a prospector and as a team builder, this application makes it, and by the way, in full disclosure, I don't sell the application. So let me just say that to everybody. Like, someone goes out and calls a company and builds it for their organization. Cool. I don't get paid a cent, but I do sell it because I believe in it, right? I talk about it. This application, literally, for a prospector and especially a team builder, it's like going to heaven without having to die. Imagine deploying a boatload of flies to sit on all your prospects' shoulders 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to report to you in real time who's doing what, who's opened an email, who clicked a link, who looked at an article, who watched the video, what percentage they watched, when did they do it, how often have they done it. By the way, all those flies communicate and tell you statistically who's looking at the most information and has the biggest spike in score using an algorithm to tell me who's consuming the most information about my product or my opportunity, so I know where to prioritize my follow-up. Not only that, but you talk about statistics. So 17 years ago, we used to ask people about their activity. So people would report in, whether it be on a conference call or whatever, on how many exposures, how many follow-ups that they did, how many phone calls they made. This application tracks all of that. And not only that, there's a leaderboard. So let me give you an example. So in the world of duplication, here's what we don't understand. Here's what we do understand. Here's what a lot of people don't understand, is that 80% of your business is going to be, 80% of the time that you spend on the front end is going to be trying to get this duplication to happen your first 4 levels or so. 20% comes later, and it's the biggest part of your growth. And here's what, like the numbers, like if you say, if you could get 5 people to join your business and they each got 5 people to join the business, of course, we know it never works just like that. But let's grasp the concept here. You got a team of 5 people you've recruited. They recruited 5. It's 25 people who've recruited 5. That's 125 people who recruited 5 at 625. The next level is 3,125 people. That means there's more people at layer 5 than there is 1 through 4 combined. But yet that first section, few layers, is where we're going to spend most of our time trying to build. The biggest part of the income is when we get so much duplication that we have sales going on every single day of the month. That means we have deposits coming to our bank account every single day of the month. But here's the problem with that. If we don't have some type of statistic to look where we can find that person that's on our 4th level who's exposed 62 people to our business in the last 13 days, they may be struggling. They may not be selling much. They may not be recruiting much, but they're doing a lot of activity, and they're going to burn themselves out before a leader grasps them by the collar. That's what the application is going to do for us, Aaron. It's going to show Sally, the app doesn't even know she's on level 4 in my organization, but all of a sudden I see Sally on the leaderboard that she's exposed 62 people this month, and it's the 13th of the month. And I'm like, who in the heck is this Sally girl? So I look in my genealogy report, I call her up, and I'm like, hey, first of all, congratulations, you're number 1 on the leaderboard, but tell me your story. What's going on? Where are you at in the business? I can latch onto that leader. We've never had that technology in our business. That person does a ton of activity. They got a ton of drive, ton of motivation. They have no coaching or leadership to latch onto, and they die in our business and leave before we ever even had them on our radar. This application puts them on the radar. So as a leader, you can be like, I got to call this person. They've got what it takes, and you can latch onto them and coach them up.
That's arguably the biggest nugget I think you've dropped, at least for me personally, because you're 100% right. One of my fears, I don't know who taught me this years ago, but it's going to echo what you just said. It's that, by the way, leaders listening who are team builders, you already have talent in your organization that you don't know about. Guaranteed. I don't care who you are, unless your team's like micro small. If you have a big team, and I know we attract a lot of leaders on this podcast, you have people in your organization right now who are talented, uber talented, could change your life, who have 1 foot out the door because they're not getting the love, the coaching. They haven't figured out that magic sauce, that 2mm change that they need to explode this business, ultimately exploding your business. What Kevin just went over, it now allows you to see that from a bird's eye view so that you can lock arms with them and grab them. Massive. The other piece, Kevin, I'll echo what you said. I use it for personal coaching. I get texts, emails, phone calls daily, as I'm sure do you, from people in the team. Some aren't even on the team. They're trying to pretend they're on the team. They're with the company. It is what it is. They'll say, this business isn't working. I'm not selling what you're selling. I'm not recruiting what you're recruiting. Victim speak, by the way. Let's be honest. I will not take a one-on-one phone call. I won't do a one-on-one text reply. I won't, sure as heck won't do a one-on-one Zoom until that person sends me a photo, a screenshot of the homepage of this app that we're talking about. All I care about are 2 metrics. First one is what Kevin just said. I want to see the number of exposures, whether they're recruiting or they're trying to sell solar. I want to see the number of exposures. Second thing, I want to see the number of sales or recruits. Reason I want both of those is I need to know where to coach. If Kevin sends me that screenshot, he's been a partner with me on my team, and he's exposed 2 people in 30 days. I don't care if you're Kevin Mohler or Aaron Browning. I really don't. You're not going to blow up a massive team or sell a lot of glass if you have 2 conversations a month. It won't work. So then my coaching call with Kevin, it's going to be very limited, by the way, is about effort. It's effort. That's all that is. Or the reverse, Kevin did 62, like he said in his previous example, 62 combos, 62 exposures, had 0 signups. Guess what? He put the effort in. I want to roll up my sleeves. I want to put the boots on with him. We got to figure out how he's edifying the tool, what his follow-up game looks like, right? That's a whole different coaching conversation. That's what this app allows for me personally. It's that simplification of where I'm going to spend my time. Massive, man. Massive.
If you're with a good solar company with a good product, good reputation, good pricing, all the things that would attract you to your solar business. And of course, if you don't feel that way, then you need to find another solar company, right? Just being honest.
Listen to the man.
Yeah, you should be sold out to what you're doing. And if you don't think it's the best, then go work with the best. Life is short. If you really believe in what you're doing, then someone's going to put that activity in there. And at the end of the day, you're either not doing enough or you're not doing it right. That's it. If you have a good company, good product, good everything that you're representing, and you're not getting the results that you want, you're either not doing enough, you're not talking to enough prospects, or you're talking to prospects, but you're not doing it the right way, so you're not effective. So you're just burning out. And this application will show you that, because you'll see how many exposures and how many engagements. That means how many people are looking at your material. Now, if your material is no good because the company you represent's no good and they've got a horrible rating with the BB and a 1-star Google rating, then yeah, you may be doing a lot of activity. You may be doing it when you're not with the right company, but most of you are with companies that you're passionate about. So if that's you, then you're either, if you're not getting what you want, you're either not doing it enough or you're not doing it right. And this application is literally like driving your car. You take your Mercedes to the dealership because the check engine light's on, and they do a diagnostic test. They plug it into a computer to see what is wrong. And this application does that for your business. It says, hey, here are your numbers. You don't even have to track them. That's the beautiful part, Aaron. You don't even have to track. The application tracks it. So I don't need to even worry about how many exposures and engagements I did in the last 30 days because I can click a button and see it.
Yep.
It tracks for me, and it's a diagnostic test. If I have a lot of exposures and poor engagements, then I need to work on how I'm talking to people. And if I have great exposures and great engagements and I'm not selling or recruiting, then there's the tools that I'm using are either horrible or the company doesn't have a good reputation when it's Googled. Either one.
Yeah, but and by the way, it gives you the answer to that.
It gives you
because you need to know. You need to know. You cannot run a business without knowing your numbers.
That's right.
Write it down, asterisk, highlight, whatever you're doing. If you're old school like us, if you're on your phone, I don't care. Do something. You need to know your numbers. Without an app like this, Kevin and I are pretty smart. I have Post-it notes all over my desk. I'm not tracking my exposures. I'd be guessing. And guess what? We're salespeople. My guess is going to be higher than what it is. Happens all the time. Two other things I want to touch on. One is, and just hearing you say that about tracking, I know we're both believers of this. Success leaves clues. So I just looked while you were saying that, Kevin, based on the month of June, which we're 2 days away, I think, 1 day away. I'm sitting in number 3 spot, and my business partner, John Bobness, is number 1. So number 1, number 3 recruiters for the entire company, 7,000 salespeople. We get asked every single day, what are you guys doing? How do you do it? 100, and I will speak for John because I talk to him daily. 100% of our recruits came because of the app. 100%. We did not expose a single person without using the app. They were a contact in our phone in the app. We did everything that we are teaching here today. Number 1, number 3 recruiter in the entire company, 7,000 people because of this app. I can't take any credit. I can't. Success leaves clues. Sorry, I get passionate about that, but wake up. And if it's not this app, go find something else. But make sure you're copying the right cat. Make sure you're copying someone who's at the top of the leaderboard. We're here sharing it with you. The other thing, and I want you to touch on this, it's uncensored, so I'm going to challenge you. The app that we have designed for my team and our company is not corporate approved. This is not run through corporate. This is run through us. You have seen both sides where a company is paying for it. They're building it. Can we talk on the differences? Because this is freaking important in my opinion.
Yeah. So corporate, and of course, I'm not talking about any one person's corporate office and staff, because there are caveats to this. But from majority speaking, I can tell you this. Most people from corporate think that they know what it's like in the field. And 90+% of them don't have a freaking clue. They think they know what the reps need. They think they know what it's like to make 20, 30 phone calls. They think they know what it's like trying to sell solar, trying to sell whatever, trying to recruit, trying to building on social media, trying to generate your own leads, making phone calls, doing follow-ups, being organized. They don't have a clue because they don't do that every day. They do what they do at corporate, which is very different than the yous and eyes of the world that are out there in the field. Most of the time when a company adopts this tech, they have their own ideas of what it should look like. And a lot of times that's not built with that the same way that a leader of a field would build it. I like working with leaders because they know, like you find somebody who's been there, done that. Like prime example, you, Aaron, you and John Bobness, right? Number 1 and number 3 recruiters for a company that's got 7,000 reps. You guys know what you need to sell solar and recruit reps. The person at corporate, most of them don't have a freaking clue. They think they have a clue. They think they know. But the truth is they're not number 1, number 2, or number 3. Give me number 1, number 2, number 3, and we can put together something that's badass. And by the way, it is badass because number 1 and number 3 are using it. Yep. So we know it works. And that's the reason why it works is because we're working with leaders. And that's what really makes it shine. And the cool thing is, too, is that even different leaders within the same company can literally partner with the tech to create what we call their own group code, so that they literally can customize tools for their team. So if they're a big leader and they want to take it to the next level, like if someone feels like they have a fire that they've already built and they want gasoline to be poured onto it, we can adopt this for them and their team and make it personalized, which is pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. And then let's talk finances here for a second. And I thank Patrick Shaw for this, the owner of the app, amazing guy, just believes in you, myself, and what we're doing and how we're changing lives through solar and just all that fun stuff. He amazingly, and I'm still shocked, he was able to get about 80% of the app that Kevin and I are talking about that we use daily in the hands of our sales team, anyone that partners with us, for free. 80% of the features. Still blows my mind. The other 20%, high level, you want it. Believe me, there is a cost. It's minimal. I think it's like $67 a month or something like that. And Kevin, you are going to kill me with this next statement, by the way. Kill me. Let me go back. All of the top leaders on that leaderboard, and we have several in the top 10, all have the bells and whistles edition. They want full tracking, full coaching. They want all of that stuff. Go invest in your business. If it's not this, I don't care. Go find something else. You need to find something, some sort of tool, whatever it may be, tracking, all that fun stuff. Obviously, this one's built with leadership. It's built with everything in one house, so you don't have to go out and have 900 different memberships, which I love. Can we touch on the promotion that we're launching in 2 days?
Yeah. So
I'm in trouble.
Tell you this. I work with other companies that don't know your pricing, just so I can tell you. And they pay $300 a month with no content. They have to create their own. So the fact that people can get the standard version and not even have to put in their credit card, and at any point in time when they want to upgrade to Pro, they can pay $67 a month with no contract, is literally unheard of, because there's people who pay $300 a month and they're left with nothing but the tech. They have to shoot the videos. They have to create the content. They have to create surveys. They have to create email campaigns. They have to create tags. They have to create all this stuff, their own everything, and upload it to the tech. And they're still paying $300 a month for it. Whereas you guys can do the standard version, or you can upgrade to Pro for $67. But yeah, I guess for you, Aaron, because I love you, man, for the month of July, subscribers to the application. So anybody, even if you're listening to this right now and you haven't even downloaded it yet, download it, create your account. You can take Pro for a spin for the entire month of July for $1.
So stupid.
And here's the cool thing. The cool thing is, if you use this and you do it to 15% of your capabilities as a human being listening to this podcast right now, you're going to turn a profit using this application. And by the way, I'm not a tax professional. Erin knows a bad to the bone one. She's not even a tax professional. She's a tax strategist, and she'll blow your mind with what she can do. She's a wizard, really. But she would tell you that this qualifies as a tax write-off. So I didn't tell you that, but I'm telling you, talk to your CPA or your tax wizard, or contact Aaron if you don't have one. He'll hook you up. But you can qualify as a tax deduction. For $1, someone can take the Pro. They can get $300 value for $1. Let me just say that.
Yeah, and that's for the month of July. I will go ahead and throw it in. If you guys want to take a look at that, that is solariconsteam.com. I will have it in the podcast description, also over on the YouTube channel. I'm going to be very blunt too. For $1, if you had one new recruit come in July to your solar business and you sold one additional solar system, what is the returns on that? I speak for my company. Average commission on a solar job is between $10,000 and $14,000. If that came because of a $1 app, like, that's mind blowing. But what does that one extra recruit to your business do? Once again, I can only speak for my company. If they were just doing one install a month, that's a $12,000 a year conversation, because I exposed somebody. I went through the steps on the app for $1. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to step up. Step up. Treat this thing like a freaking business, so you start to get business-sized results. Like, wake up. Like, I'm so freaking passionate about it. Kevin, I can't say thank you enough, man. You killed it. I know we're going to be bringing you back. Oh, by the way, those of you that get the app, I know it's going to blow up today, which is fantastic. I have shared, I think, 13 videos now, deep dives with Kevin, one-on-one, going through this app. You can find that on our YouTube channel as well. So once you have the app, you can literally have it open on a computer, walk you right through it. It's simple. He does a fantastic job going through each of the main key elements of this app that you guys now will have because of that promotion, which is great. Kevin, how do people get a hold of you?
You can find all my social media if you go to my website. If you go to strategiclifedesign.com/connect, strategiclifedesign.com/connect. It'll have everything. It'll have an email address. You can reach me, everything from YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it. And also for you guys, I'm passionate about personal and professional development. If you go to community.strategiclifedesign.com, community.strategiclifedesign.com, that'll take you to an exclusive arrangement I have with a friend of mine who has what I consider the best audio summary book company on the planet. It's called Read It For Me. And you can actually get access to the annual subscription for free.
Wow.
Like, you don't even put your credit card in. I can give it to you if you go to community.strategiclifedesign.com. And it's awesome. To give you an example, if I hear about a book and I don't have time to read it, because Aaron, you and I talked about earlier, like sometimes you're reading multiple books. I'm not going to put what I'm reading down to start another book, but I can listen to the summary and get the highlights. And a lot of times the summary will tell me if I really want to deep dive and read the whole book or listen to the whole audio book, because the summary can be in 12 minutes. So all of a sudden someone tells you, oh, you got to read 4 Disciplines of Execution, or you got to read Think and Grow Rich, or you've got to read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And you may say, well, I'm already reading something. Listen to the audio summary of it. And in 12 minutes, you'll have the key points of that book read to you, or you can read the summary, literally read it, or the audio version. It's bad to the bone. And I referred so many people to read it for me throughout the years that I finally met the owner of the company, who's incredible. And he's like, look, you can give annual subscriptions away because they're going to love it in a year. And if they use it for a year, they'll want to pay at that point to continue their subscription. So my gift to you guys.
Appreciate that, man. Let's a little life hack, by the way, too. Everybody has 12 minutes, just like everybody has $1. It's time to start treating it like a business. Kevin, I'll speak for the audience, man. Thank you. It's been a pleasure taking a deep dive, peeling the onion, and learning more about you and what drives you, what has you pushing for more. Your marketing expertise, your business expertise. I just can't say thank you enough, man. It's been a real honor. Everyone else, guys, I hope you guys got value from this. Obviously, Kevin did this for free. It came from contribution, dropped nugget after nugget. Please like, review, and share this podcast and YouTube version of it. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. Be great, be safe, and God bless. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.